Well, yesterday morning, we learned the identity of the woman who has credibly accused Brett Kavanaugh of sexual assault. Brett Kavanaugh, who is accused sexual criminal Donald Trump's nominee for the Supreme Court of the United States. Christine Ford, Ph.D., is a distinguished professor at Palo Alto University, and she bravely came forward to recount the trauma she experienced at the hands of Brett Kavanaugh. And in doing so, takes her place among the women, the countless women, who've shown immeasurable and exceptional courage, confronting their accusers and pushing back against the overwhelming pressure to be silent that so many women and victims feel when they have been traumatized in this very way. But of course, given the high-profile political stakes of her stand, the conservative machine wasted absolutely no time mobilizing to discredit her, to defame her, and to suggest that her credible, horrific story was cooked up purely for political advantage. Iowa Senator and world-renowned slow talker Chuck Grassley, who is the chair of the Judiciary Committee responsible for vetting Brett Kavanaugh, put out a statement that described the incident as uncorroborated allegations from more than 35 years ago during high school. Human Scarecrow Ann Coulter retweeted this Breitbart character assassination piece against the victim, irrelevantly attacking her over her criticism of Donald Trump's draconian border policies. And last but certainly not least, that neglected back-of-the-cabinet jar of expired pickles, Tomi Lahren, chimed in with this classic. Quote, decades-old allegations against Kavanaugh come out just days before a vote. Victim or opportunist, unquote. Ugh. You don't actually have any friends who are women, do you, Tum-Tum? Opportunist? What possible opportunity is Professor Ford creating for herself by coming forward with these allegations? The opportunity to subject herself to vile harassment and death threats coming from the types of people that patronize your garbage? The opportunity maybe of revisiting an experience so traumatic that it necessitated years of therapy. Maybe it's the opportunity to have all of her many impressive professional accomplishments possibly eclipsed by this very horrendous story. No, you vacuous dipshit, there is no opportunity for her here. Of course, given the stakes of this accusation, Professor Ford's claims should be subject to fair scrutiny, of course, and her credibility is relevant. But even the briefest examinations of the substance of her accusations and the corroborating facts that came in the aftermath of this make it difficult for anybody with an honest bone in their body to conclude anything but that she is telling the truth. Let's briefly recap. Based on what we know, Professor Ford and Brett Kavanaugh were contemporaries in Maryland in the early 1980s, when he was a student at Georgetown Prep. One summer during that period, as she describes it, Brett Kavanaugh and his friend Mark Judge, a couple of gems, were both stumbling drunk as they trapped her in a bedroom at a house party. Once there, Brett Kavanaugh pinned her to the bed on her back, groped her, grinded against her, and attempted to pull off her clothing, and forcefully covered her mouth when she attempted to scream. Fortunately, she was able to narrowly escape when Mark Judge jumped on top of him to join in on the assault. She was silent about this incident until she began attending couples counseling in 2012 with her husband and recounted the entire incident to her husband and therapist at the time, which are corroborated by her therapist's notes from 2012. When Brett Kavanaugh was nominated to the Supreme Court bench, she wrote a letter to her local congresswoman in July about the attack, which was then forwarded to Senator Dianne Feinstein, who kept her identity and story confidential according to her wishes. Eventually, Senator Feinstein revealed the story, and the press was able to discover Professor Ford's identity, and they pursued her until she came forward with her identity and the details. She has also since taken a polygraph test administered by a former FBI special agent regarding the incident and was found to have been truthful. She was telling the truth, and people who are exceedingly accomplished as Professor Ford They don't need to fabricate stories for 15 minutes of fame. She's already made it. Everything about the details of this story suggests that it's absolutely true, and that Kavanaugh viciously assaulted her and possibly attempted to rape her. Had Brett Kavanaugh been prosecuted, since he was 17 years old at the time, he would have been tried as an adult for felony. He likely never would have even been a lawyer given the character examination, and certainly would have never enjoyed the political career that he's had. So cram it right in your cram pipe, tugboat. This woman's decision to come forward when silence would have been the far easier route is an example of unparalleled courage. And if she ends up testifying before the Judiciary Committee, she may go down in history as one of America's greatest whistleblowers. This man must not sit on our highest court. And if he does, it becomes one more example of how thoroughly the American political system has abdicated all moral authority. Call your senators. Tell them how you feel about this. And let them know that attempted rapists should not be responsible for interpreting our laws. Look, I'm serious. This is an important call to action. Do you have 5 minutes to spare? Call the Capitol switchboard, 202-224-3121, and ask to be connected to your senator's office. Tell the person who answers that you require their no vote on Brett Kavanaugh's nomination. Attempted rapists deserve a prison cell, not a Supreme Court seat.